Welcome guys, today we'll have a guide for Legends of Runeterra. Here we're going to go for some of the combos I've seen in ranked games and the casual games, and we'll go through by region. So this will be some of the known combos for me at least in different regions, and those combos can be very creative and very fun to play. So what I'll do is we'll go through each region, we can go combine them with different regions as well of course, and let's get started. So Demacia, what are some of the combos? So Garen works well with Bright Shield formation. Why is that? Because when you have Garen and he has leveled up, you get ready at the start of the round. And now if you know about the Bright Steel formation, he will actually give everyone barrier when it's summoned, and every time you attack you also get barriers. To have a level up Garen with the Bright Steel formation, you can actually give shield to everybody on the board every round, because your attack is available every round, and you can attack quickly and buff everyone into Divine Shield. Into the barrier, which is very powerful. Second to that, we have lots of combinations with Strike All. So the Judgment card is a purple card. It has a really game-changing effects. I'm sure some of us might have seen it, that this card is just so overwhelmingly powerful. You wipe the whole enemy board, you can do a lot of things, but what I don't show you guys is just how effective this can be. So firstly with him, and after that, well, I'm sure we know the standard combo with Fiora. With Fiora, this is one of the standard combos with Fiora with Judgment, because she has to kill 4 enemies to win the game for you. If enemies consist of small spiderlings and weak units, or if she's a little buffed in terms of damage, you can swipe the board, kill everything in one round. As long as she survives, you win the game outright. So this is very powerful already, but I'm not sure if some of us know that units like the River Shepherd and other strike units that actually want to attack, if you combine that card, so this card with the Judgment, what you're going to find is you're going to draw multiple cards, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to kill the enemy. As long as you have attacked with Judgment, all of a sudden it becomes a super card draw. I do have a demonstration for this, let me show you guys. So over here, this is one of the indications we can use the strike units with the Judgment. Let's have a look. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So here the enemy is attacking me. I have the perfect formation. I also got a quick attack. So let's have a look. I'm currently on 4 cards. After using Judgment, and it is not countered by an enemy, because he doesn't have any way to counter it. Now, we striked, then we attacked. So that means we got 4 cards of card draw, 4 cards of value with the combination here. This is often not noticed by a lot of players. I think this is a great way to proc striking attacks, and you know, you can also proc lifesteal this way. You can proc a lot of good things this way with different perfects on your followers. So yes, lastly, notice how many cards we got. We got 8 cards pretty much last round, with 4 cards drawn with the striker here. We're into the Shadow Israels, and now one of the best combination unit card is with the Chronosphere of Ruins. If you guys didn't know, this is one of the strongest combo in the game, because you allow you to revive a unit and also trigger its death effects. So some of the good combination we can think of is go with Tryndamere, you go revive a Tryndamere, and you also get the Tryndamere death effect for 9/9 Tryndamere with the Overwhelm and Fearsome, very powerful. Followed by that, the units that really triggers off will be the Keeper here. So Curse Keeper, very nice card, and you can trigger the Curse Keeper with the Chronosphere for the 4/4 of the Keeper, and this abomination will be very powerful. So I'm sure this is a common combo most of us do know, but there's one thing I'm not sure if us, like a lot of players knew, is that the Chronosphere will also trigger the draw effect or the summon effect. So here, if you have a Bubbling Berserk and you have him on the board and you use the Chronosphere of Ruins, which I tried once, just testing, you cast on him, it will trigger the summon effect. So basically you're drawn as a card. And the other units that have the similar effect, basically the Pearl Hurdler as well, if you want his particular effect, you just use the Chronosphere on him and he will trigger his summoning effect. And also you can double buff your minions to 2/2 by triggering the effect on everything the Hearthguard. This is also very powerful. So Chronosphere not only is versatile in terms of reviving your unit, you can trigger the death effect, you can trigger the summon effect. Those has been tested and it's very strong. And talking about the death effect and summon effect, One of the good combinations we have is, if of course, with the standard combination. I'm sure some of us have heard of it and have tried it. So, you know, things like the Splatter Soul, which give you the Infernal unit. You can use on the Tredemere, you can use on any of the Death Rattle unit, which will be very nice. So keep that in mind. Those are good combos, and you can really go further into the deck with more of the Infernal buffs, or you can go with some of the card draw effects with killing your units. So while we're talking about the Infernal effect, there is a great combo with Dawn of Dusk. Dawn of Dusk work with a lot of units very nicely, and just you name it, you can work on Tredemere, you can work on a lot of things that has the death effect, but I have seen a very powerful Teemo build with only one Teemo, and I only had 25 mushrooms in my deck. I'm like, surely he can't stop me. Then he duplicated into 3 Teemos, and all of a sudden the 3 Teemo attacked. And that amplified my mushrooms count to 50, 100, and 200 in one turn. And that was very scary. So Dawn of Dusk, don't underestimate these powers. Sometimes when you use a unit that cannot be blocked like Elusive, it can trigger a lot of good effects. And Teemo is just one of them. So this is very nice already. I think there's one more. Let me have a look. We look okay. Oh gosh, there's so many. So another great effect with Dawn of Dusk or any of the summoning units is with the Green Gale duo. This particular unit is elusive, so people have trouble blocking her. On top of that, when you summon ally, give me 1/1, and when you summon a copy of those, they will also gain the pretty much the prefix effect, and you basically are looking at a +2 damage, +1 damage when you summon them. This might not seem to be very strong, but if you combine the next part with Unleash Spirit with more summons, and all of a sudden you have 3 units that gains damage when you summon a unit. I've been dealt 15 damage in one round because of this simple combo, and because I couldn't block them. Of course, it does require some mana, and sometimes you have to consider if it's worth it to combine them. Over here, we did go into Ionia. I was looking for combos. Most of those are standard combos. What I do want to highlight is the use of Deny and Will of Ionia. Use of Deny, you can use it for many things. You can also deny the enemy's skill. So for example, if the enemy have a casting skill that does a special effect, I'll find one first. We saw play. So for example here, if this particular card, the Minha Swiftfoot, has the effect to recall 3 enemies, if her effect is on the board, you can use Deny to deny that particular effect. So not only can you deny fast cards and also slow cards with the spell cards, you can also deny the particular effect from different cards. And also, if you at a certain time of the fight, an enemy has cast, say, single combat or any particular things that's about to kill a unit, about to do damage, Will of Ionia is actually great to counter the enemy spells, because enemy spells are usually targeting at a unit that's on the board. Now, if that unit is recalled, you don't have to, witness the duration of the spell becomes muted. So what I mean by that is, enemy is about to do a spell that kills your unit with vengeance onto your unit. You can use Will of Ionia and recall that. So not only can you recall your own units, you can also recall enemies and your own units. Other times when enemy is about to do multiple buffs on a unit, and you can also deny that by recalling it. So keep in mind, you can recall your own units for protective measures and offensively recall the enemy. Very nice spell. It is also a fast spell. So those are 2 of the best spells in Ionia. If you use it correctly, this can be a game-changing combo just by themselves. One thing to keep in mind is I do look into the next step. If enemy has Ionia as well, I tend to save another deny. You can deny a deny spell. So I've seen deny, like multiple denies going back and forth. Whoever gets the last deny wins. So over here we're looking at Noxus. There isn't that many game-changing combos which I'm aware at the moment. So I actually highlight a few spell cards and a few unit cards that we can look into. One of them will definitely have to be Katarina, because very similar to Garen, which readies your attack, Katarina will give you a rally each time she attacks at the level up level, and Katarina is very easy to level up. There's only one problem with Katarina, is that each time she has dealt attack, she'll be recalled. This can be great offensively, or this can be a little weak sometimes because you don't have enough board presence. You're also spending lots of mana on her. So what's happening with Katarina is that she has quick attack when she's attacking. That means she'll always attack first. If you time this correctly, no one can really block her and kill her because she will be recalled back to your hand after she attacks. That means she won't take any damage from an enemy. The downside is it does cost another 3 mana to another 4 mana after she levels up to summon her. The good thing is you're paying 4 mana for 4/4 that also has rally. Now the good thing about her is you can attack multiple times on your round if you have enough mana. And of course, with the Katarina's Death Lotus, you also do the 1 damage to all battling units and also shuffle Katarina to your deck, which is not the strongest, but you know, sometimes it helps. So what I mean by that she is great is the Noxus faction here is really offensive. For one thing is that there's cards that deals with taunt minions or minions that's a challenger that's a little more durable for them. You can use the Calling Strike. Best unit to use the Calling Strike on will have to be the Bram. The Bram has 0 damage, and even when they buff the Bram to 3 damage, they're like, oh, I'm gonna use like lots of buffs on him. All of a sudden you kill it off, and it's so painful for them. Second to that, the Blade's Edge. Because Noxus is a very offensive region, and this Blade's Edge allows you to do 1 damage to anything. This is pretty clutch because sometimes you need some damage to the Nexus. Sometimes using it for trade is okay, other times I've seen people using it to damage Nexus, because there's not a lot of spells that damage Nexus. Followed by that, Might with Overwhelm. So with offensive faction, you have a lot of damage that can be wasted if you don't have Overwhelm. And sometimes when I have a unit with 4 or 5 damage, I use Might, all of a sudden I translate this into at least 7 or 8 damage. And people might not be ready because eventually you have Darius, you'll have the Decimate as well. The Decimate from Darius also Decimate from the cards, which will push forward for the Nexus damage. Lastly, we have the Noxian's Guillotine. This Guillotine is a pretty nice spell. I've seen people using very effectively, combining with Blade's Edge or maybe just with Katarina's Death Lotus. She will be able to do damage to all the enemy units, and then you follow by damaging them and Guillotine them after. This card can be repetitively used within the same round, so if you have 9 mana, you can effectively kill 3 enemy units in right way. And this is usually focused on killing the enemy taunts and getting you through to the enemy nexus. Over here we have the Perverter and Zen. Those particular faction are more in terms of, discarding cards, a bit of the magic. They have a lot of elusive as well. So with Timo and Israel, what you want to remember is whenever you plant mushrooms or whenever you target an enemy, those units will level up. And similarly, if your hand is empty at any time, jigs on the board or anywhere will shield level up. But the biggest two are those two. And also, what we go from there is, let's have a look at the discard cards. So after having a look at this particular faction, I realized a lot of the combos are pretty straightforward. If you guys are interested, I can go through some of the basic ones. For example, if you have lots of discard and card draw, the Academic here can all of a sudden hit very hard, because for this round, when you draw a card, she will do additional damage. And there's a lot of card draw here that's available. One of the most known ones is the Augmented Experimenter. Over here, he will allow you to draw 3 cards after discarding your hand and deal 3 damage to a chosen enemy unit. What this allows you to do is, if you have less than 3 cards, you trade them off for more cards, allows you to get to do more damage. So this card is a great trade card when you have less than 3 cards in your hand. And this will also empower her to do more damage. And there's other cards in the deck that does similar things. What you want to keep in mind is there's cards that allows you to discard them, and when discarded, you have special effect. For example, the Stomp, the Regga. This allows you to discard him, and actually it's this one. So the Flame Choppers. Yeah, the Flame Choppers here, when he's discarded, he'll be summoned. So units like those are really benefiting from discarding as well. You're pretty much getting some small value out of it. And later in the game, if you're looking for this particular card, the Cornera of Veraza, she will be able to discard top 5 of your cards from the deck and do 1 damage to everyone of the enemy team. And this is a powerful card, especially when you have lots of spell cards there. So how you want to combine this particular region is having some nice spell cards and having some ability to discard card. So the Flame Chopper is definitely one of them if you plan to go into the discard section. and we'll look for more of those combos as we go into other sections. So we have went over to the Shadow Israel a little early at the start of the combos here for this guide. What I want to show you guys is those two cards can be very interesting. I've seen a rise on Vengeance in terms of casual games and also ranked games. The kill a unit with a fast spell is very effective. Even when you're battling with enemy, you can kill a unit outright. The only downside is when enemy have recall deny that can save the units, but that rarely happens if they're not in the correct factions. So Vengeance is a very strong card, especially if you go in for any format of less rushing with Shadow Israel, more of the control format. And if you're thinking about control, the Runeterra is one of the great cards that the Shadow Israel has to offer in terms of balance. It has a really good rush and infernal kind of combination. It also allows you to do the Runeterra when your units are susceptible to death already with the infernals, and also you have a great deck control. I have some good replays with this particular one. Let me find one for you guys. We'll see a demonstration of this as well. So here we're going through a YouTube replay of one of the decks I used to Runeterra. So for this particular deck, right now we're facing a Tryndamere, which is about to revive. My goal is to pop the Tryndamere, allow him to revive, and then I will build into enough base so enemy commit more of the cards. Then you have the Runeterra ready here. Let's keep going a little bit. So here we're going to talk about the Tryndamere. We're going to bait him in. The Tryndamere is revived, and we're still baiting. And now they have a 10-10 and 11-7. So I'm still baiting. I have a lot of the death effect cards ready. So when I actually revive, I can actually, get more value out of my cards as well, because it's a very costly Runeterra card, right? So we're still waiting. Now, the enemy has pretty much buffed everything to max. Now it's a 10-10 and a 22-22. So this is when the combination of the Runeterra and more cards becomes very handy. So what I'm doing here is I try to bait more cards off the enemy. Simply because I know that if he attacked here, I have enough block for him. So it's likely he try to summon more cards. And when we get a chance, we're gonna get the attack here. So here, when I attacked here, I'm still baiting. So, there's good combos and there's also great gameplays. We're still baiting for him to cast more units down. So if he does that, more value for us. So it's his turn. And finally, he took out the Bram. So that's pretty much all. That's everything I can milk out of him. And now I'm going to Runeterra and take everything out of him. So that's 10, 6, and 21, 18. And this game's pretty much over. So he's only got one card left, and we have 4 cards. We have enough units on the board to to fight a little bit as well. So there's great combos, and sometimes it's also great control and patience in the game to allow us to go further. So let me know what you guys think about this particular guide with some of the combinations, some of the cards from different factions. I'll make more guides as I go and play the game further and understand the game more. I'll make a particular guide if you guys have a request. If not, I'll be making more decks and more insights towards different builds. We'll be going to expedition. Damn. We'll be going to expeditions, and we'll make some guides for that as well. And of course, we'll be making some rank up guides for best ranking, climbing decks, and best rush decks. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time, and